Crimea is Ukraine. That is what the Polish president, the prime minister, parliament marshals and ministers emphasize at international meetings. We do that because Crimea is the first flagrant example of Russia's designs for the territory of other countries. And Crimea is the real start of the aggression against Ukraine and the suffering of its citizens. Ukrainian citizens and citizens of the Crimea Peninsula have fallen victims to terror and extermination. Every day we hear about forced deportations of Ukrainians to Russia, filtration camps, abductions of Ukrainian children for forced adoption, the rape of women and torture of prisoners of war. These are blatant war crimes. As the Parliament of the Sejm, we recognize those as war crimes. And those blatant crimes deserve the utmost condemnations as they're aimed at destroying the Ukrainian and Tatar people. And also the forced conscription of these nations, representatives into the army, are such actions. We know that the illegal September referendums have taken place in eastern Ukraine and that Vladimir Putin has called up for war mobilization. As many as 60,000 people from occupied Crimea were conscripted into the Russian army. 90% of those are ethnic Tatars. Such actions are a terrible fratricidal practice as a nation is being forced to fight itself. Mobilization in Russia is equally frantic. Russia is recruiting not just criminals and convicted offenders. It is also calling up citizens without any military training. It is calling up 16-year-olds without any experience who will die on the front lines. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot rely on a regime that has no qualms about harming its own citizens. One cannot count on such a regime to show a human face and be a reliable partner. Central and Eastern European countries have repeatedly warned about Russia's hostility. Many countries have tried to appease Russia, but the conferences, for example, of Yalta, did not bring the desired results. They have brought terror and enslavement to many countries of Europe. We had many failed diplomatic talks with Putin, and those showed that larger or smaller states, despite their best efforts, do not have enough influence on Russia. They cannot stop its neo-imperialist policy. We need resolve and a determined stance. That is the best solution for Russia's aggressive actions. Thanks to solidarity, we can provide unprecedented support to Ukraine. We can strengthen the defense of NATO's eastern flank and, by extension, all of Europe. We can send a clear signal on whose side we are in this war, and we side with stability and peace. Only solidarity and close cooperation will let us achieve this goal. But what is important is that we do not cease our efforts. Ukraine is in constant need of our political, humanitarian, but also military support. That is why we appreciate the position of countries which are committed to strengthening Ukraine's military potential. If Ukrainian troops are already capable of conducting an effective counter-offensive in eastern Ukraine, then how efficient would they be if all NATO states supported Ukraine proportionally to their GDP and their potential? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a question about this is not a question of political correctness. It is a question of strategic responsibility. We, alongside Ukraine, must stop Russia, and we can do that only by maintaining a steady supply of weapons. At the same time, we need to strengthen the NATO's eastern flank and introduce sanctions. Forums that help us exchange views are very valuable. And therefore, today's Crimean Platform Summit is so important. I thank you for this concept of establishing a parliamentary dimension to this initiative. Parliamentary diplomacy is an opportunity for us to speak forcefully about the issues that need our government's attention. We must participate fully in discussions on fundamental geopolitical problems, and we must base these discussions on the mandate we received from our voters. I trust that all the thoughts we exchanged today will go beyond this room and further action in favor of Ukraine, cooperation and peace in our region. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraini.